UCL Fantasy Match Day 3 is around 2 weeks away, so we've got plenty of time to think about things. But in this video, I look ahead, I look at my team and potential transfer strategies and some of the best players you could buy for the new round. So let's get into it. So although we are 2 weeks out from Match Day 3 now, I kind of want to get ahead with some planning and look at some of the players that I'm looking to target and stuff like that. And we will look at those top targets of mine very shortly. Just briefly go over the team and some of the players that I'm not happy with. And in goal, obviously, Jarvis and Kova have not proven good. 4 out of 4 clean sheet wipes now for them. And a lot of people will say that's expected. I didn't expect it. I thought we'd at least get one clean sheet. PSV and Ajax weren't horrific coming into the competition. Maybe you could look at their recent defense and think, well, they weren't great, but I think you'd expect at least one clean sheet by now from one of them, and I still expect a couple going forward, but they just don't look great, do they? But do I want to use transfers on goalkeepers? Absolutely not. You know, they're very cheap as well, and again, they rotate right up until match day 8, which is super handy. Moving into defence, Calafiori didn't start the last UCL Fantasy match, last Champions League match. I'm hoping that is just a rest for him. I'm hoping he's had that rest. And now, obviously, you know, he'll start playing all of the games going forward. We don't know that, though, so that is an issue. Pedro Porro, he seems, obviously, like first team. I know he missed a Premier League match, didn't start recently, but he is starting the main matches. Although, I don't think Tottenham have been that good, really, at all defensively, you know, as of late. They conceded to Leeds, you know, they conceded to Bodo Glimt, conceded to Wolves before that, so it's not been ideal. Dumfries an absolute hold, although DiMarco is slightly looking better, the opposite wing-back for Fulham. I think Dumfries was very lucky in the goal that he got last week, whereas DiMarco is constantly returning points now, but he's also cheaper. I think if I had to start from scratch, I'd probably go for DiMarco, but Dumfries stays nonetheless. I mean, elsewhere in defence, you know, you've got the likes of Bellanova, who I brought in last week. He ended up getting injured halfway through the match against Club Brugge. I mean, they didn't keep a clean sheet anyway. It was just slightly annoying, you know, so I'm hoping that he recovers during the international break. I mean, hopefully. Real Madrid are another side, you know, with decent long-term fixtures, similar to Atalanta. Housen was a really good asset. He got picked up a good return. He's also playing Juventus at home this week, so I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with him, although if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't have him in. Moving into midfield, less happy about Salah. You know, he didn't start the last game. The attack's a bit all over the place. He doesn't look convincing, and he also costs a lot of money. So he is one of the players that I'm looking to, you know, move off. Xavi as well. You know, he played in the number 10 role in the last Champions League match, but he just wasn't that good, and he got subbed early. That is his best role, though, the number 10. But, you know, who knows what we're going to see from him. Happy with Gordon. You know, he's on hands, got a brace recently in the Champions League. That's 3 goals in 3 goals in 2 Champions League matches for him now. So very, very happy to keep him. I'm slightly happy to keep Goncalves as well. A home match against Marseille. I mean, Marseille did impress in the last round, but I don't think that's a horrific fixture for Goncalves. And Sporting were good against Napoli. Goncalves actually came close to scoring. However, midfielders, Elise, yeah, very happy with Elise so far. You know, he's done nothing for me to want to move him out, although the fixtures for Bayern do get tough soon. I think they've got Club Brugge this week, and then after that, you know, the fixtures are a little bit rough. I think it's PSG and Arsenal, so you probably want to get rid of at least one or two of your Bayern assets. Up front, I'm super happy to have Kane, again, similar to the Elise chat. A great fixture this week, home against Club Brugge, but then tough ones after that. So maybe potentially down the line, he could be, you know, he could be in my transfer plans to get rid of. Mbappe at home, you know, Real Madrid are in good form offensively. Mbappe, he comes off the back of a hat-trick against Kairat, so getting rid of him would seem a bit strange, although his fixtures are also coming into a tricky patch now. I think, you know, Liverpool as well, coming up as well. Interesting that the premium forwards are now coming into tough periods after, well, yeah, I would say Juventus is quite tricky for Real Madrid. If I was wildcarding this week, I don't think I'd have Mbappe in. We'd have to have a look at the viable forward options. And then elsewhere in attack, I've got Thuram, who was injured before the break, but I think obviously the international break is plenty of time for him to clear that injury up. So, you know, I'm mostly happy with a lot of my team. If I was wildcarding, I wouldn't have a lot of these players in. But I think Salah is definitely one that I'm looking to get rid of. Potentially Xavi as well, because Tottenham don't look great. He's not settling well at Tottenham either. And maybe even Goncalves or a defender or even a goalkeeper. So let's now take a look at some of the top transfer targets for Matchday 3. So one of my many top targets going into Matchday 3 is Lamine Yamal. And before you say it or think it, yes, I know he's injured, but a lot of top sources are suggesting that he could be fit for his game against Olympiacos. Barcelona are very good buys for two reasons this week. Firstly, they are great in terms of captaincy. So if you look at day one on Matchday 3, it's quite tough for captaincy. I know a lot of people might look to Haaland away at Villarreal, but Barcelona have a home match against Olympiacos, which is perfect, and I think could see a few goals for the Catalans. So it's not just that, though. They play in the early game, so we get to see the lineup. So there's little risk at all in kind of looking at, the likes of Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. So again, he is injured, but if he is starting, we can check the lineups, we can put him in, and we can put him as captaincy. So put him as captain. So I just think the fixtures are great for Barcelona now. They've got their tough fixtures out the way against Newcastle and PSG, won one and lost one, and now they need to start looking convincing. They need points on the board, and Olympiacos completely capitulated, I thought, against Arsenal. Yes, they were impressive at times, but Arsenal should have won that game 3-4, 5-0. And I think Barcelona are capable of doing that. So again, Yamal, I know he's only played one of the matches so far, so his underlying data isn't as good as what other players are, but fantastic in terms of output. He's actually managed a goal or an assist in kind of every one of his last matches prior to the last Champions League game, going back all the way back to his first pre-season match. So he's just an exceptional player, very efficient, and I think a very good replacement for Salah, for those looking to switch off. But yeah, great first day captaincy option, and we get the lineups for him. Now, I've already mentioned Lamine Yamal, and I also have to mention Rafinha. He is around similar ownership, again, similar popularity, but he comes in 0.5 cheaper, which I think is important because it gives you a lot more to do. Upgrading from it's a big difference upgrading from a 4 million to a 4.5 million defender in terms of the fixtures ahead, in my opinion. But fixtures are the same, of course, obviously similar reasons in Barcelona. We get to see the lineups. We get to see if Rafinha is starting. He is also injured. He could also return from injury in a couple of weeks' time when they do play Olympiacos at home. Remember, Barcelona, last season scored more goals than any other in the league phase. So once they get their attack back, once they get Lewandowski firing, Rafinha back, Yamal back, it's going to look really positive again for them, I think. And obviously, Rafinha, he's got more routes to points than Yamal in some respects because of obviously set pieces. His data is slightly better, but that is because I think he's had a slightly better fixture in the Newcastle game. He played Newcastle, but didn't play against PSG. I really like Rafinha. He was one of the best assets in the game last season. So I think picking between them is kind of tough. It is, I know that, but that's if they're both fit. If one of them's fit, then you just pick the one that is fit, and then probably captain them on the Tuesday. So yeah, Rafinha is another great option for Matchday 3. Now, Atalanta are another team who are coming into a good kind of run of fixtures. Obviously, Slavia Prague at home next, Marseille, Frankfurt. I think there's 3 great fixtures to attack there from Atlanta. Now, a lot of people are doubting Atlanta, but they are yet to lose this season. They haven't lost a game this season outside of their, obviously, their opening clash against PSG in the Champions League. Other than that, they are basically unbeaten. So, they've had a tough start to the season, Atlanta, really, really tough fixtures. They've had to face PSG, Juventus, they've had a tricky run. Even Como are in really good form in Serie A at the moment. They've invested really well, actually. So I think it would be easy to look at Atlanta's kind of, the recent scores and stuff and think, well, they're not great. When in reality, they beat a tough Club Brugge side at home. They ended up producing more than 3 expected goals, 3 XG in that game as well. So Atalanta really, really producing the goods in terms of the underlying data. Now, the fixtures are great, but it's Ademola Lookman's price tag that I really like. I can get from a I can come down from a Salah, or I can swap straight over to a Xavi, or I've got point 0.5 in the bank to go from Goncalves up to Lookman. He just fits kind of a lot of different transfer strategies. Now, the only thing that concerns me are his minutes. I mean, it's very positive that he started both of the last matches. In fact, he started as a striker in the last match against Como, and kind of totaled an XGI of 0. Around 0.6, which I think is really, really good. He's just a fantastic player. I think we saw parts of that against Club Brugge, although obviously he didn't really come close in terms of XG. It was more expected assists. He came close to getting an assist, but yeah, I just think he's at a great ownership. He's at a great price. He is their side's talisman. We don't know who's on penalties. Could he take him? Who knows? It could be Kirstovic if he's not on the pitch. Maybe Lookman. So you just never know, right? And I think the fixtures are really good. I really, really like him. Again, it's just maybe a minute. So we'll see on Lookman. But again, a fantastic asset last season, but definitely on my radar. Now, we have another player that I'm really interested in from Serie A, and I'm actually wearing the Napoli t-shirt as we discuss Kevin De Bruyne, so very, very touching, isn't it? But, I mean, in terms of Kevin De Bruyne, he's been fantastic since joining Napoli. He does seem to be kind of one of the main men there now. He is on pens. He is taking pens with Lukaku out injured until potentially next year. Kevin De Bruyne will probably continue to take pens, obviously, unless he misses one. He got 2 assists in the Champions League so far, so he's managed two assists already, which is very good. He's also scored 3 goals in 5 Serie A matches, so he's very consistent. He feels consistent. He is 8 mil. He's got really, really low ownership. His XA is, well, as predicted, as expected, really, really good. And his goal threat could obviously come from penalties as well. So he does feel like the all-around package, but and again, obviously, the fixtures are great. If you want a midfielder who, has got longevity in terms of fixtures, then look no further than Kevin De Bruyne. He's got PSV, Frankfurt, and Karabakh after that. I think his toughest match is obviously Matchday 8, in which he plays Chelsea. And then by that time, you could pretty much come off him. But yeah, I just think he's a great asset. The only concern is with Kevin De Bruyne is he does feel like a very easy player to take off for Conte. I think obviously when they got the red card against Man City, he was one of the first off. So yes, it was a tactical switch, but he still came off. He also didn't start the a most recent match for Napoli as well, which again maybe slightly concerned about minutes. I personally think he's going to start every game and play most minutes. He is like I said, he is their biggest threat in my opinion. So really, really like him as an asset. I think you could just buy him, stick him in this week, and just leave him there. I really, really like Kevin De Bruyne as well. The midfielder options continue. I mean, the midfielders just haven't been great this season. There's been a lot of disappointment within midfield picks, whereas defenders seem to be ticking on by. The forwards have been pretty excellent. A lot of the disappointment and failure has pretty much come in midfield. So there's a lot of midfielder options to switch to. Enzo Fernandez is another one, currently on pens for Chelsea while Palmer is out injured. Now, there is no telling how long Palmer is going to be out injured. We saw him recently squirm when Hato jumping him after the winner against Liverpool. So that doesn't look promising at all. It does look promising for someone like Enzo Fernandez, though, who could be a good long-term option. He's 6.5 million. He's managed 3 goals and 1 assist in 7 Premier League matches so far, which is great. He's also managed around 0.6, 0.7 XGI in the Champions League as well, which I think is very, very good. He's been extremely unlucky to not score or assist, I think, in my opinion, anyway. So, but I mean, if you look at the next 2 fixtures, Chelsea have a home match against Ajax and then they play Karabakh. So 2 great fixtures there. Obviously, it does not look great that the fact that Barcelona and Atalanta follow that. But I think if you're looking for a short-term option before you wildcard in a short-term punt, I do really, really like Enzo Fernandez. Again, I am a Chelsea fan, but I don't think there's much bias in this. His XG is really good. His output, 3 goals, 1 assist in the Premier League is also really good. He's on pens as well. I mean, and he's cheap. You can't really ask for more. So, again, so many midfield options this week, and I really, really like Enzo Fernandez as an option. finally, another player that isn't a midfielder, and it's a striker. It's Victor Osimhen. He's actually a player that I was very adamant about liking at the start of the season. Prior to the season, I looked at the fixtures long term. I looked at his form for Galatasaray last season. The fact that he's on pens, the fact that he's only 7.5 million, and his ownership is also low, and thought, well, he is a great option. Injury has kind of dampened that kind of desire to bring him in, though, and the fixtures remain good, though, and he's back fit now. He's also had the international break as well to kind of, recover after a recent injury. So you just take a look at those fixtures. Bodo at home, Ajax, USG, Monaco. You could even keep him in for Atletico at home, and Galatasaray are very strong at home. I think, and this is a big shout, but I think Victor Osimhen could easily cover another premium from now until near the end of the campaign. I think he could cover the likes of Kane, considering Kane's next few fixtures, considering Mbappe's next few fixtures with Juventus and Liverpool, and considering, Haaland as well. I think, Osimhen could well cover them. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying definitely do it, but if you look at the price difference, there's around 3 million price difference between him and those premiums. And that is the difference between having a premium midfielder and not having a premium midfielder. And we are at a stage in the competition now where premium midfielders are becoming a little bit more appealing than the premium forwards. The look at the likes of Cole Palmer, who could eventually come back, the likes of Saka, the likes of Lamine Yamal, the likes of Rafinha. And obviously Salah's not exactly that great anymore, or at least, not as wanted as he once was. But I just think you look at, people could easily come off Kane, Mbappe and Haaland over the next couple of weeks. So for me, Victor Osimhen will be an absolutely excellent replacement for any of those forwards. If you're looking to downgrade a forward to boost up your midfield, put money into the midfield, or just simply want to move off a striker to a different one because of the fixtures, and I think Victor Osimhen is perfect for that. He's already scored. Again, he's on pans. His underlying data is really good as well. So for me, Osimhen, excellent option going forward. That was my potential team for Matchday 5. They were my top transfer targets as well. Now, we've got plenty of time to go, so do not worry at all. But if you want more UCL Fantasy content like the video you've just seen from me, then please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again soon.